Okay, today we are going to learn about surface areas of triangular prisms, and then we will do surface area of different prisms as well. So, surface area of triangular prisms. A triangular prism has a triangle as the base, or it has a triangular, we can put triangular base and rectangular sides. So it's lateral sides. Lateral sides are these ones that are on the side here. So these up and down ones. And then this one is the base. The triangle is the base. Okay? To find the surface area of a triangular prism, find the sum of the area of the bases and the lateral faces. So we're going to use a net right now to help me figure this out before we can kind of move on to the next thing. So a net is just our shape flattened out. So it says use the net to find the surface area of each triangular prism to the left. So I need to figure out how long are my sides here and what do my triangles have bases as. Well, to help me visualize this, I'm going to draw a dotted line from the top to the bottom because that creates my 90-degree angle. Okay, that should help me figure out some sides a little bit. What is this side length right here, this longer side of my triangle? So the longer side of my triangle is how many inches? 9 inches. So this side is 9 inches, which means this long side is 9 inches. A net is just the unfolding of our picture here. So what's this taller side then? 8 inches. Not taller necessarily, it's more steep. Well, if this is 8, this is 9, what's the base? 11. And then that would make, yes, my side here would be 4 inches. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I need to figure out, well, what's the length of these sides here? Okay, well, if I look, remember, if I were to fold this up, this side right here would close up with this side. So this one is 9 inches too, because if I were to fold it back up, along the edges, that's where I would glue. And if I'm going to glue those together, they have to be the same length. On the left side here, it's going to be 8 inches because I have to glue this side and this side together. So this one is 8 inches as well. So what we're going to do now is we are going to find the area of each of these. Okay? Well, my area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. So my two triangles are set up the same. So I have 1/2 times, what's the base? 11, and then we forgot to measure the height. The dotted line is 6.5 inches because it's right here on the inside of that. That's what that's saying. So then this is times 6.5. Well, what I'm going to do in my calculator is I'm going to take 11 times 6.5. That's going to give me 71.5, and then I'm going to divide that by 2. So the area of my triangle is going to be 35.5 inches.
Where's your class?
I'm recording. Okay. 35.75, yep. Okay, now I need to find the area. They're at track, that's why I'm recording this lesson. Now I'm going to find the area of my rectangles. Okay? So I have two different rectangles here. I have three. I have 1, 2, and 3. Well, rectangles are just our base times our height. So for 1, I'm going to take 8 times 4. That's going to get me 32. For 2, I'm going to take 11 times 4. That's going to give me 44. Then for 3, I'm going to take 4 times 9 to get 36. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces. What did I forget to do? The triangle gets used twice, so I need to make sure I represent that twice. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take the area of this prism, well, the surface area, excuse me. Surface area is SA. This is just area. The surface area of my prism, I'm going to take 32 plus 44 plus 36 plus 2 times 35.75. And that's going to get me an answer of 183.5. And this is in inches. And how do I represent an area? Inches squared. So there's that answer.
Will we get it wrong if we don't put square?
You'll lose some points, yes.
That's a lot of steps.
That is a lot of steps. Okay.
At least we're not building it. Where did you get 6.5 from?
6.
The dotted line on that side. Right
Yep.
above the square.
Right here.
Oh, nice. I thought
Mhm.
it was that. It probably helps us look at that.
Questions on that triangular prism? Okay, now we're going to use this next one. This has a nice little right angle in my corner, so I'm going to use that to help me. Right angle, right angle. Okay. What do I know about my rectangles? They have a width of what? My triangles. Or my rectangles, straight up and down. 6. So this one's 6 yards, and this one's 6 yards. What are they across then? Across this dotted line right here.
Oh, 12.8. Oh, 12.8.
12.8 yards. Okay, if these are 6 here, that means that my width here is going to have to be 6 as well because that doesn't change at all. But now I need to figure out my sides of my triangle. What's the short side, the shorter side of my triangle?
8.
So 8 yards. So that's what I'm going to have there and here. What's the longer side?
10.
Okay. What is the width or the length of this first rectangle right there? What does that line up with? If I were to fold this up,
8.
it's going to line up with the 8 yards. So this side, remember, when I glue them together, is going to glue with this side. What side is this one going to glue with? The 10. So think of it when you're folding it up. That's the line you're going to have to put glue on. So for my triangles, I'm going to have 1/2 times my base is 12.8 Okay, and what's my height here? 6. Because of that. Because my height is here. Okay. Oh no, this is a right angle. This is a right angle triangle. Remember our base on our right angle is this one? Our base is here and our height is here. So this should, oh, I don't even know where I got 6 from. This should be 8 and this should be 10.
Maybe the other way around.
Yes, that's fine too. Remember, right angles have a base and a height already on them. So that's going to give me 80, because 10 times 8 is 80, and then half of that is 40. So this is going to be 40, and this is going to be 40. I'm writing it out a different way so you guys can see it a different way. Okay. Then, how do I find the area of my rectangle? In the middle one, yes, the middle one. 12.8 times 6. So that's going to get me 76.8. How do I find my smaller one to the left? 8 times 6 to get me 48. How do I find my bigger one? 6 times 10, so I get 60. Then I take my areas and I add them all together. So I'm going to take 48. So my surface area, I'm going to take 48 plus 76.8 plus 60 plus 2 times 40. Because there's 2 triangles. Instead of writing 40 twice, I'm just going to write 2 times 40. And that's going to get me a surface area of 0.8 yards squared. Very good.
Do you have to write out that one, that problem, or can you just tell you what the area is?
Depends on how you show me.
Like, just like, I have to show you the formula. What if every time? Can we just write out all?
If you write them all on the inside, you don't have to show me this part, but then you're going to have to write SA equals that. Okay? Remember, surface area of 3D shapes is all the area, all the faces. It's how much room each face takes up. Okay? A face on a prism is a side. Yes.
Do we gotta show you the equation?
Okay. Our last one that we're going to work with then is our tent looking one. So my height on my, I'm going to draw my dashed lines to help me figure out those heights. My height would be, that's my base. My base is 7. So then my height is 3.6. Okay, so my height is 3.6. What is the bottom here? What's this entire length? 9. How'd you get that?
Because the very top one of the tent or the
Very good. That's 9. So my 2 sides are 9. And then what's the width? Because 5. How'd you know it was 5? Because it doesn't show me that necessarily anymore. Yes, it's the only number left. But what happens when I glue mine together, remember? These 2 sides would touch. And what's the side of my triangle? 5. Okay, so that means this one's 5 as well, because that's the only other one I have. Okay, so remember, the biggest thing with these is gluing them together. Yep, this one. Yep. So, what's the area of my rectangles? My two rectangles, because they have the same area, because they're both 5 by 9. 45. Very good. So I have 45, 45. How about my center one? 63, because 9 times 7 is 63. And then what about my two triangles? I'm going to take 1/2 times 7 times 3.6. So I have 12.6. Not with our triangle, because our triangle is 1/2 base times height. Now I'm going to take my areas and add them together. So I'm going to take surface area. I'm actually going to multiply 45 by 2 as well, since my two sides are the same length. I'm going to take 12.6 times 2, then I'm going to add 63 onto there. So what's my surface area? Good. Yep, kilometers squared. There we go. Questions on this? Okay, flip to the back side then. Yeah. Actually, you guys have to stay here. Okay, so on here, we're gonna flip to this, what is a prism now, okay? So we just talked about triangular prisms, now we're gonna talk about what is a prism. So a prism is a 3D figure, three-dimensional figure with two congruent and parallel faces. This is called the bases. So the parallel faces, so this side here and this side here are my bases. The other sides, oh, not those ones. The other sides are called my lateral faces. So excuse me, I got those mixed around. So it'd be this one and this outside one would be my bases. Then all of my long rectangles would be my lateral faces, because there's only 2 of the bases. Do you notice how there's only 2 squares here? So there's 2 squares, and then there's 4 rectangles. That's why my squares are my bases, because there's only 2 of those. Okay. My types of prisms, there's a rectangular prism. This is a square prism because this is the one that it's sitting on. The next one is a cube, because it makes a dice. And then the last one here is a triangular prism that we just worked on. Okay. So, what is surface area? We are kind of doing these a little bit backwards. I should have done this sheet first, sorry. The surface area of a prism is a prism's sum, or a prism's sum of the area of the bases and lateral faces. Okay, so a prism sum of the area of the bases and the lateral faces. Nets. A net is a two-dimensional composite figure that shows each face of a three-dimensional figure. Think of a net like the unfolding of a 3D figure. Nets are useful in finding surface area of prisms. Okay?
So this is the one we made a robot last year.
Nice.
Wait, robot last year, you need a second one.
So what we're going to do is we're gonna find the surface area of these rectangular prisms now. Okay? So I need to figure out which ones are which. So if I am looking at my inside this little base right here, what are my dimensions of my inside rectangle? 12 feet on the long side, 5 feet on the short side. Okay. What about my smaller two rectangles that are on either side of it? I have 5 feet by 8 feet. Okay. What about my long rectangle over here? What is that one? That one is 12 feet. And it's 12 feet by 5 feet because that 5 feet isn't going to change there. And then finally, what is this side length right here on my really wide rectangle? 8 feet. Very good. So find this area of each of these. What's 12 feet by 5 feet? What's 5 times 8? Again, we already took 5 times 12 to get 60. What's 12 times 8? 96. Now I'm going to take my area and I'm going to add them all together to find my surface area.
This makes way more sense.
So 60 plus 40 plus 60 plus 40 plus 96 plus 96. You can write these as multiplication since these numbers repeat. So you could have done 60, 2 times 60 plus 2 times 40 plus 2 times 96. So we're going to get 392 feet squared. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over and we're going to look at some more rectangles. Do we have any questions on this one? Okay. We're going to look at this one here. I need to figure out my sides. What's this really long side here on the base? 16. Okay, what is this short little stubby side right here? 2.5, and that goes for both of them because they kind of, you can see, you can highlight those sides to show they both represent 2.5 since we don't have a ton of room. Okay, and then how about the longer side right here? That's 6. Okay, so what is this one right here? What's 6? Good. So what's the area for this little rectangle where I have 2 of them? What's 6 times 2.5? 15. That applies for this one as well. Because this one's also 6 and then 2.5. Yep, that's how I got 15. Okay. Oh, then 6, yes. 16 times 2.5 is 40, which I have this little sliver twice because it's right here as well. And then I have 2 left. 16 times 6, which is 96. And that's because this 16 goes across on all of them. Okay? Then what we're going to do, we're going to add them all together. Okay? So I'm going to take 40 plus 40 plus 96 plus 96 plus 15 plus 15. Or I could rewrite that as our surface area is 2 times 40 plus 2 times 96 plus 2 times 15. And what's my surface area of this rectangular prism? 302 meters squared. Using nets is really nice, but what we want to do is we want to find shortcuts. Remember, mathematicians were lazy. They don't like doing things the long way. So we need to figure out a formula. We want to figure out a shortcut, okay? Well, a surface area with a rectangular prism, let's figure this out. So if I have this long side, tell them I'm recording, please. If I have this long side, which does this represent? Okay. This represents my length. Okay. What? Yeah. No. Okay. If I have this side, what's this side then? This is my width. And then what is this side? Height. So across from those, I'm going to follow these all so they all are the same. This one right here is going to be our height. This is going to be our width. This will be our length. There we go. So how do I find this area of this center guy right here? So of this one right here. Length times width, or width times length, yes. How about this one? Height times length. Or length times height. And that, what about now this weird little guy right here? Height times width. Well, if I look at these, this is kind of the formula we've actually already been using, okay? So if I'm looking at this, I have my formula, my surface area equals 2 times the length and width plus 2 times the height times width plus 2 times the length and height. I remember which one I hadn't done yet. So that's a formula that we're going to use there. So that's going to make our lives a little bit easier, because what we're going to do then is we're just going to look at these and we're going to plug in numbers. Okay? So our surface area. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 2 times, what's my length? 18. Well, it depends on how you do this. Okay, so my length, I'm going to put as 18. So anywhere I see length. Yes, that is. That's why it always kind of depends a little bit. This would actually be our height, yes. This would be our height because it's straight up and down.
That's what I was saying.
Yep. This would be our length,
3 will be.
and 3 would be our width. Well, so we're gonna take our height, either way, we take height times our width,
So length times width.
plus 2 times, so now we've done length times height, or
Where did you get 18 from?
our height. I just moved them around a little bit.
I know, but 5 times 3 is 6.
Width is 3. It's height times width.
No, and we're plugging in the
I thought it was
formula.
length times width.
You can do length times width as well. There are multiple places it's at. So now if I do length times width, then it's 18 times 5. And then the last one that we have to do is length time, or width times width. So 2 times 5 times 3. So sorry, I just mixed around this formula up here. So then I'm going to get 30 plus 108 plus 180.
3/8.
So I get 318 feet squared. Okay. So that can get a little, you have to, depends on how you follow this. We'll follow this the correct way now. Okay. So what's my length on this one? So height is how tall it is.
32.
Length is my 32.
And then the height would be 1.5.
My height would be 1.5 and my width would be 8. Okay, so my surface area, 2 times my length, which is 32, times my width, which is 8, plus 2 times my height, which is 1.5, times my width, which is 8, plus 2 times my length, which is 32, times my height of 1.5. Okay. So then I'm going to take 2 times 32 times 8, and that's going to get me 512. Then I'm going to take 2 times 1.5 times 8 to get me 24. And 2 times 32 times 1.5 to get me 96. So my surface area then is going to be 632 centimeters squared.
You can see where you can mess it up anything you want.
Yeah, that's why it's really important to write this whole thing out. We kind of messed up on this one by not taking our time and we put them wrong. So it's super important to just take your time on these for sure.
Ooh, number 5 is really easy. You can't mix them up at all.
Nope, you can't mix up number 5 at all. Doesn't matter which one's which because they're all 7.
7 times 7
So
times 7
you
times
just
6.
600 times 6.
So you could do it that way, or you can just write 2 times 7 times 7 3 times.
98 plus 98 plus 98. So we can do 7 times 6, you said?
I'd rather you not, just so you don't get in that habit, so you can get in the habit of knowing what to write down.
Wait, where did you get the 2 cents? Oh, oh, I got it.
294.
So.
Who wants to connect?
Okay? We are. How do we feel with rectangles? Feel good? How do we feel with triangles? Do we want to go back and do a few of those? Okay,
Connor, somebody left their water bottle in there.
that's fine.
I feel good about both of them.
Well, let's look at our triangles without our nets now. Now that we've done rectangles without nets, let's do our triangles without nets. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the area of our bases. So what is my base on these guys? This is a triangle where my lateral faces are rectangles. So I have 1/2 times base times height. And so I'm going to, what's my base of my triangle? My base is going to be 10. And good, the height's gonna be 4.8. It's that dotted height. So I'm gonna take 1/2 times, or I'm gonna take 10 times 4.8, which is 48, divide that by 2, and I'm gonna get 24. How many do I have though? How many triangles do I have? I have 2 of them. So I'm going to take 2 times 24, since there's 2 triangles, to get 48. So this is my area for both triangles. Okay, now I'm going to find the area for my rectangles, which is just base times height. So what's the base of my rectangles?
11.
My,
The base is 10.
yeah, the base is 10, because it's this right here. What's the height? 11. So 10 times 11 is going to give me 110,
Wait. Which is 2 of the sides.
which is going to be 2 of the sides. Good. It's going to be this side, this outer side, and then this inner one. Okay. So I'm going to multiply that by 2 to get 220. So,
You're not always gonna know what
okay, but that's only 2 of the sides. There's 3 rectangles on here. My other one is going to be 5, which is that guy right there, times 11. So I'm going to get 55. 11 is up and down. So Sutton, if you look, this is 5. This side, since it's up and down, is going to be 11. So then I'm going to take 220 plus 55, and that's going to get me 275. And so this is my area for all rectangles. And then I'm going to take 48 plus 275, and that's going to get me a total of 323 feet squared.
That makes a lot more sense than before.
That's going to kind of be the easiest way to do it without nets, just because there's so many different sides on triangles that have different side lengths. So that's one way to look at it. These do take a little bit of time, so it's just a matter of getting used to it. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Okay, let me get